Hey everyone, welcome back to Alps Mustang Garage. Today we're doing the speedometer drive gear on the output shaft of a 4-speed top loader that's in the 65 Mustang, the honey gold fastback. So if you saw the previous video, we kind of diagnosed what was going on. The speedometer was not moving at all and the odometer was rolling backwards. So today we're doing that repair, going for a little test drive, verifying the operation. Also, as far as figuring out how to figure out what teeth count you need for the drive gear and driven gear, I have a separate video for that. You can see that come across right here if you're interested in calculating, figuring all that kind of stuff out. Let's dive right into it, and we'll show you how to swap this gear out and keep your Mustang on the road and out of the garage. Okay, so we calculated the gears that we need to fix our speedometer issue. We're gonna have to remove the tail shaft of this transmission. We got a new tail shaft gasket for that. And we're gonna start by supporting the transmission with our transmission jack. We'll get a block of wood right there to kind of keep that supported. We're gonna remove the cross member. We're going to remove the speedometer cable. We're going to remove the shifter assembly and just kind of set it aside. We're going to remove the drive shaft. And the cabling and everything here for your park brake is going to come off as well. So let's tear into this. Okay, so now that you have your cross member out, friendly reminder, the transmission is being supported with a transmission jack. So you need to get that supported first before you remove the cross member. But anyways, cross member's out, speedo cable is out, park brake assembly is off, drive shaft is out. So we're on the shifter. We only have 3 bolts. 1, 2, the third one back here you probably can't see. And so we're gonna undo those bolts and remove this shifter assembly. Okay, so that shifter assembly is free. It's just kind of hanging here. Okay, but the point is, it's going to be fine just sitting there. And then we're going to remove the tail shaft assembly. Over here, you can take the mount off if you want, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these bolts here on the tail shaft that you're gonna have to remove, and then we'll remove that tail shaft assembly extension housing is what they call that either way. So at this point, if you wanted to, you could lower the transmission a little bit to kind of make your life a little easier. So I think we're gonna just tip it down just a little bit and make it a little easier to access the bolts and remove the housing. Okay, all the bolts are out of the housing here, and so we're just gonna kind of bop it. You're gonna get a lot of fluid coming out unless you drain it. Okay, so it's kind of being a little difficult, so I got my other spin jack on the very end of this. I'm just gonna kind of put a little pressure on it, and she should just kind of break free. Holy cow. I don't think I've ever had an extension housing fight me that much. Okay, she's broke free. And now I should be able to just slide her right off. Kind of like that. That mount was just fighting me coming out over the exhaust, so I just took that off. Come up and over the speedometer gear. We have a snap ring right here that we're gonna take off. I have a new replacement snap ring because while we're here, it's cheap enough. We just put a new snap ring on it while we're in here, and we'll try and make this quick and easy. Okay, so I got my snap ring pliers on here. This is a pretty heavy duty spring. It's pretty tight on here, and it can be a little difficult. Just so you know, there's probably some better snap ring pliers out there from what I have, but I'm trying to make do with what I got. Okay, so now we can slide that snap ring just off the end of the tail shaft like that. Okay, so once the snap ring is off, usually you can just kind of like, bop these off the end of the tail shaft or output shaft. So I like to kind of use my brass hammer so I don't accidentally, damage the shaft here. So we can just kind of bop it off like that. And there's a little retainer ball inside here as well. It's probably going to fall out. It's about ready to fall. Okay, now you can slide that off the end there. As you can see the difference, definitely the wrong speedometer drive gear. Okay, so while we have this off, we're gonna go ahead and clean off this old gasket, and we got a new one that we're gonna put on there. Okay, so when you put on your new drive gear, there's only one way it can go on. It's slotted here to accommodate the little ball stud. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind when you're sliding this gear on. It has to, that slotted end has to go on first. This end right here goes on first like that. So, and we got a new snap ring and a little ball stud. Okay, just so you can see a little better, I repositioned the camera underneath. This little recess right here is where that little ball stud goes. So we're gonna try and slide this drive gear on. So we're gonna kind of hold that in place and slide the gear over just like that. Doesn't have to be forced on. If you notice, when I took the old one off, I had to kind of hammer it off. It's because it's a wrong speedometer gear. They shouldn't have to be forced on and off. They're held in place with that ball stud and the snap ring. So if you have to force something on, chances are there's an issue. So there's our new snap ring. Slide that up and over. We got our snap ring pliers. This is a little challenging because I probably don't have the right snap ring pliers. If you guys know of some better ones, make a comment in the comments below. I want to know what you're using for these snap rings. Okay, it is on. Sometimes the right tool is just a lot of patience with the wrong tool, because apparently I don't have the right type of snap ring pliers to work that snap ring there. But hey, we figured it out. We got it on. Now we have the right gear on, so now we just got to get the extension housing back on. We'll get a new gasket on there and get this thing back together. Okay, so now we got our speedometer drive gear on there. We're gonna get a new gasket. We're gonna prep it with a really light coat of Permatex Ultra Black oil resistant gasket maker silicone. Very, very light coat on this. We don't goop this stuff on there at all. So. Okay, so the good thing is when you have this goopy gasket on there, it kind of like just sticks on there by itself and it's not really going to go anywhere. So now we can get our extension housing in place. Okay, extension housing is back on. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you can tell in that time-lapse video, but I was kind of struggling to get this thing to get on there. And after a minute, I just kind of pulled it back off, and a second speedometer driven gear like just fell out of there. It was like inside the housing, and I had like no clue. So that was really weird. Anyways, thought that was kind of funny. If you're ever having to force anything on, like, chances are there's a problem. So just kind of stop what you're doing and take a second look. I thought I was fighting the shifter, but I just could not get this thing to line up, and it was just kind of really weird. But yeah, somehow there was a second drive gear inside of the housing, just kind of hanging out in there. So now we just got to get our shifter back into place and cross member, mount, and then put our speedometer back in, and this thing should be good to go. Okay, just gotta get our new speedometer gear on here. This is the driven gear. So we've done our calculations based off of our tire size and gear ratio and the teeth on the drive gear of the output shaft, and we come up with this is an 18 tooth gear. Keep in mind, if it's entering on the right hand side of the transmission like a 4-speed top loader, then it's going to be a left hand thread rotation. I always like to make sure it turns nice and easy before I install this back into the transmission. Now we just gotta fill our transmission with oil right here, and then we can kind of test this out. As far as oil goes on these top loaders, this is the stuff that I use and recommend. It's the Brad pen grade 80W90 GL4. This kind of stuff is meant for older classic vehicles where it has the brass, bronze, or copper soft metals inside this thing, and it's not gonna harm that kind of stuff. So this is what I use. You can get it at davidkeytoploadertransmissions.com. Okay, we got our extension housing back on, drive shaft in, park brake in, speedometer cable in. We got her topped off with fluid. So she is ready to drive. Let's go see if our speedometer works. Okay. Test drive 1. Works. Yeah, I'm doing 20. See, before it wouldn't even like go anywhere, and the odometer was going backwards. Yeah, I gotta adjust that fan shroud some more. Aftermarket parts. This. Rear end's not howling, so that's good.
Yeah.
Like before, it was just like,
oh,
it's hard to describe it. It was just, whoa. And then when you would decelerate, it was just like, whoa. Like, it was just really bad.
Wow.
This is one of the first builds. It's a really early build. It's October of '64. This fastback, October '64. So a really early fastback.
Oh man, I want to drive this thing. Wow, Alex, this is awesome, man. This is cool.
That's all I dare do. Go around the block.